Welcome to Magic Arcanum. I'm Ryan Gomez, here to help you understand everything going on in the Magic story. Today, we finish Chronicle of Bolas with the Unwritten Now, the 8th and final episode for the Core Set 2019 storyline. Turns out, the Hedrons that are protecting Ugin and housing Yasova and Baisha do a pretty good job of stopping mind control powers. Naiva snaps out of it long enough to not slice her twin to ribbons, and instead has a heart-to-heart conversation with Grandma Yasova. They realize they're in a tricky spot, and Yasova still thinks their best chance is to outwit Bolas rather than fight him directly, so she puts all of her hopes into Ugin and asks Naiva to experience his visions one more time. So, she curls up next to her sister, falls asleep, and we're back to experiencing visions from Ugin, which remain very different from what we were being told by Bolas in the last episode. In this vision, Ugin is sitting in the meditation realm, calmly reflecting on his life so far and realizing how much it pains him to have seen his twin brother, Bolas, go from being just an ambitious dragon to a bloodthirsty warlord on Dominaria. But he says to himself, hey, at least he's stuck there and he can't harm any of these other planes that I've come to love. So guess who shows up in a flash of golden light? Bolas has learned to planeswalk and he comes straight for Ugin. He says he's mad Ugin kept all these great secrets to himself and he only came back to Dominaria to mock him and make sure he knew how much he was missing out. Ugin puts up some defense, tries to reason with Bolas, but it's no use, so he decides to flee and tries to planeswalk away to another world, but he's immediately followed by his twin brother. So Ugin keeps running from plane to plane, but he's relentlessly chased by Bolas. Ugin gets tired, his injuries start to add up, he can't rest or eat or fight back in his current condition. So he briefly considers going to Tarkir, but he thinks Bolas would destroy it if he realized how important that plane was to him. So he comes up with another plan. He figures Bolas is just going to keep coming for him until he's dead. So he heads back to the meditation realm to await his fate. What happens next is a little complicated, but basically, Bolas does kill Ugin, and Ugin's body falls into the waters of the meditation realm. This causes two things. One, all that water splashes away and leaves just a bare ocean floor. And two, Bolas is also splashed away and forced back to Dominaria. Then the water returns like the tide coming in, and once it's all back in place, on the mirrored surface is a ghostly image of Ugin. The water keeps moving in, drawn to that image, until it forms into a solid magical body for Ugin. Satisfied that this trick has worked and he's made Bolas think he's dead, Ugin leaves the meditation realm, which then starts to refill itself again with this magical water. So just to be clear here, if we're believing this version of events, Ugin died on the meditation realm and replaced his body with the shimmery liquid that made up its surface, thus making him the spirit dragon. From there, Ugin begins his plan to stop Bolas from spreading destruction to the rest of the planes of the multiverse. He teams up with another planeswalker, a sphinx named Azor, and they decide they're going to trap Bolas somewhere using a magical artifact called the Immortal Sun. They decide to set this trap on Tarkir, believing that Bolas would never expect Ugin to risk his favorite plane. Ugin even calls the other dragons of Tarkir to his side to make a more tempting target for Bolas. Unfortunately, Bolas is able to turn those dragons against Ugin. He's defeated once again, and his body crashes down to the surface of Tarkir, where Sarkhan activates the Hedron cocoon that will save his life. Bolas has evaded the trap though, and he's free to go about his business wherever he wants. At this point, the visions start to repeat themselves, so the twins wake up and tell Yasova everything they just saw. The three of them come up with their own plan to defeat Bolas, who is still waiting for them just outside the Hedron. Naiva and Baisha swap clothing. Naiva's gonna stay in the Hedron and her twin sister's gonna go outside to confront Bolas. They want him to think he still has mind control powers over Naiva, but since it will really be Baisha standing there, she'll be free to carry out their plan. Somehow this plan works. Yasova convinces Bolas that the original magical artifact that Ugin put here is still around, is now active, and is about to trap him on Tarkir. This infuriates Nicol Bolas because he thinks Ugin's about to win even though he's dead. So he decides to planeswalk away lest he become trapped here next to Ugin's grave. As he leaves, he triggers an avalanche meant to bury Yasova, but Baisha is able to put up a magical barrier and protect them both from it, mirroring her actions back in episode 1. So we've come full circle. Ugin will remain protected and safe inside his Hedron cocoon. Yasova and her granddaughters will live to see another day, and not much has really changed within the Magic multiverse. We now know Ugin did die and bring himself back to life, kind of like a Force Ghost Star Wars Jedi thing. But there was no clever Fight Club style plot twist. It was just two different versions of the same story, with the truth probably being somewhere in the middle of them. And Nicol Bolas is still out there, still planning his next move, with his eyes looking towards Ravnica, which we'll experience later this year in October. Chronicle of Bolas was a lot of fun, and I'd love to keep making these videos, so please like this one, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Then leave me a comment with your idea for where Magic Arcanum should go next. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. See you next time.